While Nigerians await the judgment from the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, Atiku Abubakar, the PDP candidate in the past presidential election, is busy gathering more evidence against Tinubu. Yes, he can actually tender new evidence on appeal to the Supreme Court, so he's already looking ahead to that. More on this in a moment. In the U.S. District Court in Illinois, Atiku is seeking the admission records of one Bola Tinubu in Chicago State University. After Tinubu filed to be joined in the matter so that he can block the request by Atiku to have his university records, he said his privacy will be violated if the court allows Chicago State University to release his academic records to Atiku. After all the arguments, the court ordered Tinubu to justify and make persuasive arguments that will make the court to block the release of his academic records. He has until August 23rd to make these arguments. On the other hand, Chicago State University told Tinubu to provide proof while his academic records should not be released to Atiku. They gave him till 30th August to make these arguments. As you are aware, Atiku Abubakar is seeking the academic records and admission records of Bola Tinubu. He wants to know the secondary school he submitted. Just like in Nigeria, before anyone can be admitted into any university, you must submit your WAEC results or NECO results and JAMB. All these records will prove the secondary school you attended. So that's exactly what he wants to prove when he gets access to these documents from Chicago State University. When they release these documents to Atiku, he will be able to solve the age-long controversy about the actual date of birth of Tinubu. Right now, his documents show that he was born on March 29, 1952, which puts him at 71 years. Some of his documents in the past used to bear 1954, which is the actual year the Bola Tinubu that was admitted in Chicago State University was born. The implication of the proof, if Atiku is able to lay his hands on them, will be enormous. Let's take them one by one. Number one, going by Section 131D of the 1999 Constitution, which stipulates the minimum educational requirement for any candidate in the presidential election. That minimum requirement is school cert, WAEC, NECO, anything after secondary school. It also has equivalent. We'll get to that in a moment. If it is proved, of course, we already know this because David Hundeyin got all this information, is already in the public domain, but Atiku wants to get them officially, notarize them to be able to be admissible in court in Nigeria. So if it is proven that the Bola Tinubu that was admitted in Chicago State University was indeed a female, that she is different from the Bola Tinubu we know today, that means the Bola Tinubu we know today isn't even qualified. He doesn't have the minimum requirements required by the Constitution because it means he doesn't have the WAEC certificate because that WAEC certificate doesn't belong to him. That's what it means. That's the implication. The WAEC certificate is like the foundation. If you don't have them, you can't claim to have BSc or BA from university because you must have WAEC certificate in order to be admitted in a university. And if you are not the owner, you are impersonating the owner, it doesn't belong to you. So he is not qualified based on minimum educational requirement. Remember that this is a new ground for disqualification of Tinubu. The main ground that Atiku argued was the issue of the certificate forgery. And while trying to subpoena to receive the real certificate, it opened a can of worms. This is why he's now seeking to see the admission records, to see the foundation of documents that the person submitted to be admitted in Chicago State University. The admission records of the real Bola Tinubu also proves why the fake one had to download the Chicago State University certificate from Pinterest. The downloaded certificate contains fake signatures that are quite different from the real one issued by Chicago State University. This evidence solves the jigsaw puzzle. Everything is coming together. It makes perfect sense that the impersonator, who wasn't the person that was admitted in Chicago State University, he doesn't have the records to prove that he is the person that was admitted. He doesn't know his admission number to the university. If you can't furnish this information to the school, they can't give you a new certificate. It's as simple as that. Go to any university in Nigeria where you attended. You'll be given a form. Fill out the form. Of course, it must contain your admission number and other relevant information. If you submit all these correctly, the school will simply say, oh, sorry, we don't issue two certificates. We'll just give you a cover letter or something like that. If it's a school that can give you another certificate, they will simply issue you one. Number two of what Atiku will achieve when these documents are made public is that it will embarrass the judges. Let's assume that they are trying to find ways to exonerate Tinubu and not disqualify him. And before they deliver the judgment, Atiku releases the bombshell. Hey, the true person that was admitted in Chicago State University was a female, not this man that we know today. Hey! So it will be an embarrassment. Where will they start? How do you start to defend someone who is an obvious impersonator? He wasn't the one that went to the university, but he has been claiming all along over the years that he went to this university. So it will be a bombshell. And imagine the embarrassment to Nigerians, not just the judiciary. Imagine adding identity theft to many of his baggages. When people throw jabs at Nigerians now, they'll be saying, he wasn't only involved in narcotics and money laundering, he also stole someone's identity. Hi! Now, wow. So you can understand when we make the analysis that it will be difficult to exonerate and defend this man. They won't see the feet to stand on. They won't see the technicality to exonerate someone who stole someone's identity, who was involved in narcotics trafficking and money laundering. So basically, the man's life is a lie. No one will employ such a person. So why should Nigerians employ such a man? Now, let's see the Supreme Court rules. A party can actually introduce new evidence on appeal to the Supreme Court, but the only condition is that he must file it before the date for hearing. That's why Atiku told the district court in Illinois that he needs to get Tinubu's records on or before the date that the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal judges will deliver judgment. Also, according to the Supreme Court rules, even if the new evidence was not called during the trial, the person can still introduce the new evidence. And the party that is tendering the evidence against can actually counter-tender, like tender a new document to say, this one he brought is false, look at the real one. But the problem here is that the ship has sailed because Tinubu did not fill in his school certificate. In fact, he left the primary school, the secondary school, he left all of them blank. So he cannot come back and say, hey, INEC, please take this document. This is what I should have submitted before contesting. It doesn't look right. And going by all the evidence and revelations against him, that he forged this document, he impersonated this person, even when he contested for governor. That's why he didn't fill in his primaries and secondary school this time around. Because when he contested for governor, he filled in a fake secondary school and he was discovered. So with all this, whatever he will try to bring to counter what Atiku will tender at the Supreme Court will fall flat because of his history of forgery and impersonation. Now, let's address what many have been saying, that all the certificate forgery issues will be thrown out because of the fact that Atiku did not plead them in his petition, that social rules say that everything you will present must be contained in your petition, that they will capitalize on this loophole to throw them out. There's one thing many people don't understand. This is a constitutional matter, and the Constitution says that if anyone forges a certificate, he stands to be disqualified. So once it's a constitutional matter, a procedural error cannot counter it. You can't use that to trump a constitutional matter. And besides, Tinubu's counsel joined issues with Atiku. Atiku said that Tinubu wasn't qualified to contest the presidential election in his petition. In replying the petition, Tinubu's counsel asked him to show proof that Tinubu wasn't qualified. So Atiku now told them, okay, I will get the proof. Hold on, I will present the proof. And he presented the evidence in court. Tinubu's counsel called a witness who tendered counter documents to counter what Atiku said. They tendered his school records from the same Chicago State University to prove that he actually went to the school. So they have joined issues with Atiku. They've made it an issue before the court, so the court must determine the issue based on its merits because it is a constitutional matter. No procedural error or technicality can trump constitutional matter. So, unless Nigeria happens, the court must answer the question: did he attend the university? Did he forge certificates? Did he lie about his dual nationality? All this the court must determine. Now, let's quickly see what school certificate equivalent means. It can be found in section 318, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution. It says a secondary school certificate or its equivalent, or grade 2 teacher's certificate, the city and guild certificate, or education up to secondary school certificate level, or C is very important because it has four subparts and all of them must come together with the main one for a candidate to be qualified. It says C, primary 6 school leaving certificate or its equivalent, and that means inclusive service in the public or private sector in the federation in any capacity acceptable to the Independent National Electoral Commission for a minimum of 10 years. And before we continue, Tinubu didn't submit a primary school leaving certificate to INEC. He didn't even mention the primary school he attended at all. So he will not meet this condition. He only served as governor for 8 years, and the minimum here is 10 years. And the second one here, which says attendance at courses and training in such institutions as may be acceptable to INEC for periods totaling up to a minimum of 1 year, and the ability to read, write, understand, and communicate in English language to the satisfaction of INEC, and any other qualification acceptable by INEC. So going by all this, he's still not qualified because he didn't provide all, or he doesn't have all the required certificates that make up the equivalent to WAEC. Now, let's squeeze in some updates from some state governorship election petition tribunals. In Lagos, they've rounded up arguments just like the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, so the judges are actually in deep deliberation now. They will deliver judgment very soon. The main issue at stake here is that Gbadebo Rosevival, the Labour Party candidate, wants the court to disqualify Sanwo-Olu because his deputy swore a voluntary oath of allegiance to the United States when he took up their citizenship. On the other hand, the PDP candidate is asking the court to disqualify both Sanwo-Olu and Gbadebo Rosevival. So it's an interesting one and a judgment to watch out for. In Rivers State, the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal is actually sitting in Abuja because of the constant security threats in Port Harcourt. As you are aware, APC withdrew from the petition of Tony Cole, the APC governorship candidate. They obviously made a deal with Wike. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. He rigged the presidential election for them and they rewarded him with a ministerial nomination. Tony Cole is still pursuing the petition anyway, plus the Labour Party candidate and others. In Enugu, they are also in deep deliberations. When they are ready, they will announce the judgment. Of course, you are aware how the PDP candidate Peter Mba tried to counter the evidence against him from the NYSC that he forged the discharge certificate. He called a fake witness who claimed to be a staff member of the SSS. In their closing arguments, Olanipeku SAN, who is representing Peter Mba, argued that the court should declare a rerun election instead of disqualifying Peter Mba and declaring the Labour Party candidate winner of the election. That's what they are hoping on. Even the presidential election, they've seen all the errors they made, how they left massive evidence behind. They want the courts to give them the opportunity to do a better job in a new election. Let's see how it goes, and thanks for watching.